Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Can you hear me, Ron?
You bet.
Awesome. So I'm Franz. I'm one of the owners of Westward Industries. Westward Industries is a low-speed utility vehicle manufacturer here in Winnipeg. And we are here to discuss a little bit about our company and our collaboration with the Vehicle Technology Center in the homologation of our vehicle for on-road use in Quebec. So who are we? We're a manufacturer that started, so we're a manufacturer of gas and electric utility vehicles based in Winnipeg, Manitoba. The company started in 1990 as a company that manufactured task-specific three-wheeled utility vehicles for parking enforcement. And they were built from about 1990 to 2012 when the company was acquired by myself and my brothers. In 2013, the Interceptor 4 was introduced, which was just the final evolution of the parking enforcement vehicle. In 2014, we had the Go4 EV, so we ended up introducing an electric version of the parking enforcement vehicle. In 2017, we ended up introducing a gas-powered refuse hauler on an extended three-wheel vehicle. This particular vehicle generally has a market in small urban centers that don't want large utility trucks making a lot of noise. And then in 2020, we ended up seeing that the market for parking vehicles was changing. The advent of electronics was creating a lesser demand for chalking of tires, which was the norm for parking enforcement. And certain technologies like LPR were coming in. So we did see a need for last mile delivery vehicles, and we ended up designing and building the Max EV vehicles. They are all electric. And so as of 2022, our lineup is still the parking enforcement vehicles in electric or gas. It is the XTR, which is our dumper, our utility vehicle that is for garbage hauling. A flat deck, which is used mostly for landscaping. And then we also, when we designed the Max EV line of vehicles, we ended up doing a three-wheeler with two wheels in front and one in back. The chassis that we've designed is quite modular. It can be made front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, or four-wheel drive. Today we're here to discuss the Max LSV, the four-wheeler. It is a low-speed, street-legal four-wheeled electric vehicle with a top speed of 25 miles an hour. It is allowed throughout the United States, in all the states in the US, and it is also allowed federally in all the provinces in Canada. And so our vehicle comes in multiple different configurations. You can buy it with cargo beds. You can buy with dump beds, with van bodies, for landscaping, with ladder racks or toolboxes. The vehicle was initially designed not as a lead acid vehicle, but as a lithium powered vehicle. It has a similar chassis to that of our proven three-wheeler. It's an all 2.5-inch tubular roll bar. We call it a roll bar chassis. It sits two people and it has a plethora of different options that you can get with it. The vehicle is made here in North America. And some of the features, you can see the chassis is quite robust. It has the lithium battery packs. We also have an off-road version that is coming out this year.
Hey, Steph.
Yeah.
I don't see your slides advancing.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just, I think you're stuck on 01, who was Westward Industries, as far as I can see on my screen here.
All right, bear with me for a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Can you see that a little bit better?
Let's see here. No, didn't change much.
That's interesting. It's changing on my screen. Did I possibly? Can you see that one?
Yeah, I can see who's there. We go. Yeah, I can see it now.
Sorry about that. So we went through all that, and you didn't see any of the slides we were going through. All right, let me slowly go through the slides here again that I went through. Okay, so this is where I was saying that our vehicle has a lot of different options that can be purchased on this vehicle for the different uses it has. The vehicles come with 4 different battery packs. They come with a 6 kilowatt, an 8 kilowatt, a 15 and a 20. The 2 smaller packs are 48 volts. The 2 larger packs are 72 volts. It basically, obviously as the size of pack increases, so does the range. So different customer uses where our vehicles are used. We have them at some inland ports. We have them with FedEx. There's all sorts of golf course maintenance, street maintenance, all sorts of municipal work. The Oakland Zoo has some farmers are using them. The city of Montreal has them. There is some security in Quebec as well. Food and beverage, some uses for that. Canada Post is doing a program with the vehicle right now, testing it out to see if that works for some of their local rural deliveries. And so the whole point of this project, the discussion of this project, was the homologation of the vehicle for the Quebec market. Quebec is quite a large market for electric vehicles. It has a very progressive culture that focuses on sustainability. They are planning to have all electric by 2035 is the initial plan. There's also a strong rebate in the province of Quebec for vehicles. Currently, you see it here. It has been now upgraded to $12,500 for any vehicle that is under $60,000. That's for any on-road vehicle, which our vehicle falls under. So initially, we had to make sure that the vehicle had all the regulations to be allowed in Canada and in the United States, and that was done. And then Quebec had their own set of extensive rules for testing the vehicle. Some of them will be as follows, some of their compliance. So there were headlights that had to be revisited to be able to have specific requirements in Quebec. There were the federal laws in Canada and the US ask for reflectors on vehicles, but our particular vehicle for Quebec needed to have marker lights instead. So the vehicle had to be retrofitted to fit marker lights. They have a certain lumen output that they want for the rear license plate on the vehicle. So that had to be reviewed. Same with the front turn signals. They had to be upgraded. They also have a particular requirement where they want all electric vehicles to have what they call a ready light. So whenever the vehicle is ready to move, so it's been input in a gear select has been chosen, either forward or reverse, there has to be a light that says that the vehicle is ready to be powered up. They also have a particular requirement that differs from the rest of North America in that they want an audible alarm that could be sounded by the driver at any point in time for the vehicle. So if they're coming to a crosswalk, there is the ability to make an audible sound to alert the people that are walking by that there is a vehicle coming. They had a particular steering column requirement to make sure that it was safe for in frontal impacts. They either offered us to crash test the vehicle or pass their angle requirements for the steering column so the operator would not get hurt in a front-end collision. They had a requirement to have a certain height for the rear tire to avoid any splashing, for the rear fenders to avoid any splashing from the rear tires. They have their own labeling requirement. They have their own VIN application. So on our VIN decoding list for our vehicles, there is one that is actually, there's a position that is given just for vehicles that are made for Quebec. Particular requirements for the side view mirrors at specific heights. They required every vehicle to go through a brake testing on for the homologation. And so the vehicle went through a plethora of brake tests to be able to pass. We were lucky to pass all of these tests. We made some modifications to improve the brake pressure on the vehicle by downsizing the master cylinder. And again, everything that all the tests that they required were passed. There was a brake assist that, a parking brake test that they were not able to pass. It came back to our facility. We had to redesign the handbrake cable lever to be able to put the correct amount of tension on the rear e-brakes. And then we were able to pass that test. You see the vehicle here on a specific incline with a trailer. We're the only low-speed vehicle allowed in the province of Quebec to be on road and pull a trailer at the same time. We were able to do that in part because of our braking system, in part because of a feature that we have on our particular vehicle that's called an EM brake. This brake engages anytime the key is removed. It is a little bit like a parking pole on an automatic transmission, but it allows the vehicle to stop moving 100%. We did seatbelt testing and anchorage on the vehicle. And the vehicle passed. And so we are now one of 3 vehicles that are allowed to run in the province of Quebec in a low speed category, which are roads that are under 40. The roads that are up to 50 kilometers an hour, but the vehicles are allowed to travel up to 40 kilometers an hour. And that was probably pretty quick, but here we are, questions and answers.
Good stuff. Thanks, Steph. So how different are the regulations across Canada? Like you talk about Quebec here specifically, but if you were to try to sell this in BC or Alberta or those kinds of places, is it a difference, different tweaks to the rules across Canada, or there's nothing national?
Quebec is the only one that has different rules.
Okay.
Every other province follows the same federal rules that we applied for on the vehicle.
Okay. And did you work through a third party to figure out what all these differences were and which tests had to be done and that sort of thing? And how did that process work?
So we had our engineering team go through that process. The third party that did the testing was PMG Testing Labs in Quebec. And so they ended up doing our brake testing and seat pull testing. The rest of the work was performed in-house.
Well, that's good. That's good. If anybody has any questions, feel free to submit them in the Q&A feature. So just out of curiosity, how many vehicles do you guys produce a year, Steph?
So from March of this year till now, when we had a bit of a, so when we introduced the Max EV in 2020, it was approximately when COVID hit or shortly thereafter. So there was a bit of lull on the actual production of the vehicle. After that, the vehicle started production in March, April of this year, and we built about 200 of them so far.
Okay, awesome. And your annual capacity is about that 200 or so?
No, I would say we're around 500 right
now. Oh, wow, good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You find a lot of momentum in that business? Like, is it gaining popularity, the whole low speed, zero emission market?
There's a lot of interest in the EV market in general.
Yeah.
And the last mile delivery seems to be a big market segment for a lot of companies, especially, and the EV is driving it more and more.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because we brought a group over to the IAA Commercial Vehicle Show in Hanover in the fall, and you know, if you're going to purchase charging infrastructure, last mile delivery is actually the perfect mode to electrify, because all your vehicles come home at night. So basically, right, you buy a set of chargers, you charge them at night, they go off and do their thing during the day, they come back at night, they're charged again. And there was so many electric last mile delivery vehicles, little cubes and things like that displayed. It was amazing actually in Europe how much of that there is.
And I would say that the bulk of that last mile delivery is in that 50 to 80 miles a day. They're not very long distances. It's generally smaller areas and lower speeds.
Okay. What do you do for heat in your units?
We have an electric heater.
Okay.
A PTC heater.
Yeah, and you find, what kind of range degradation do you get using an electric heater?
Depends on the cold, but it's pretty significant.
Yeah.
In our really cold weather, it could be as bad as 50%.
Yeah, it's too bad. Like, you know, we'd love to find a way to make heat, but any way you make heat, it costs you in range. So like if you live in California, it's a wonderful thing because, you know, San Diego is 71 degrees every day. But what do you do when it's a little, you know, like here in Manitoba too? You know, your batteries get a little older, and then you have a couple of cold days, and before you know it, you're you know 50% of your range that you'd started out with when the vehicle was new.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that heating is certainly the biggest problem in cold climates like us, for sure, like ours.
So a couple of questions came up here. Just retail, approximately, what would a unit like yours cost?
So the units start at 18,000 USD.
Okay.
And they go up from there depending on the options and battery pack sizes you get.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And Steve had a question here. Do you test for flammability? Just wondering if your vehicle needs to be tested as thoroughly as cars in respect to crashes and fires, et cetera. And I'm thinking specifically FMVSS 302, right?
I would have to confirm with the engineers, but I don't think that the FMVSS 302 applies to low speed vehicle category.
Well, that's great. That's great. If there's no other questions, we are going to move to Darren Johnson over at Fort Garry Fire Trucks. And he's going to tell us a little bit about a project that they took on in regards to repurposing an old press with digital technology, and how that worked out and what the advantages and the ROI are for doing that. So Steph, thank you very much for presenting. And
thank you, Ron.
Yeah, and Darren, you can take it from here.
Hello, I'm Darren Johnson with Fort Garry Fire Trucks. Just to get a little history on the company. Fort Garry Fire Trucks was established in 1919. Our head office manufacturing facility is in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Fort Garry Fire Trucks is the largest Canadian-owned fire truck manufacturer in Canada. Currently, we employ approximately 130 staff members with an annual sales of approximately 40 million. Fort Garry Fire Trucks has dealer network, has contacts across North America and worldwide. That's right. There's a little. Okay, our project scope is the back agent system on our brake that we used was put into service in 1997. The system had an AccuPress ETS 2000 system and had become obsolete. And before it stopped functioning, we were having multiple issues with repairs. We were resorting to finding used parts to keep the unit running. As you can see from the picture on the screen, it's an old CRTC screen, very limited functions. And the back gauge itself had some wear and tear to it. It had an old style back gauging system that was spring loaded, and it wasn't really accurate enough for when we're using large components. So we sourced options to replace the complete machine, as well as options to retrofit the machine with a new back gauging system. The brake was an AccuPress 740016, 16 mean, it's a 16-foot bed. Manufactured in 1996 and installed in 97. And we did an evaluation of the machine to see if a complete replacement or retrofit was our best option. After evaluating and going over the service hours of the machine and talking to suppliers, it was determined that the machine was in really good shape for its age. So retrofit was the best option to go with. So the new back gauging system will increase productivity time because when the old back gauge system went out of use, we were having to manually mark parts and use eye and line parts, which affect repeatability and tolerances. So the new back gauge will increase repeatability, reduction of rework from parts formed incorrectly or out of tolerance, and increased accuracy. So we chose to go with the AccuPress ETS 3000 premium back gauge system. It included a new ETS 3000 controller, premium back gauge, which gave us an increased travel of 24-inch travel. It's 158 inches width and 1,000th position accuracy and repeatability. We upgraded the servo drives, which controlled all the components of the back gauge. Had new upgraded foot and hand controls, which also improved the safety of the machine. And we had in better motion in the Y, X, R, and Z positioning of the machine. So here's a quick image of the old system to the new system. At the time, our average was 60 parts per day, because some of our parts are quite large and complex. They're spending anywhere from 1.5 to 2 minutes to manually lay out the parts. So it worked out that we're going to save about $160 a day by switching to a new automated system. So it gave us a return of anywhere from 1.5 years to 2 years. So the new system is a Windows-based system, so it's a lot easier to get parts and a lot easier to upgrade. It is connected to the network, so we have unlimited storage of part programs. As long as our server has memory, it can hold part programs, which is good because at Fort Garry Fire Trucks, we do a lot of customized parts and a large variety of part numbers. So this system allows us to, once it's programmed, it's stored and it's kept in the machine until we revise it or obsolete the part. The new system was installed during our shutdown in 2021. We did it because we did it over the shutdown. We had no downtime for production because they came in and we did extended shift doing the upgrade with the installation company. And then for the last day of the shutdown, we had a couple employees come in to do some training on the system. So when we returned after our July shutdown, they're up and running better than before we started. Since in service, part quality has increased with the new back gauge being more rigid without spring loaded when we're using the large parts. It's when you press the part up against the back gauge, you don't have the springs compressing. So you have a lot better accuracy. Setup time has been reduced because programming the machine is a lot faster, because you just select your distance of your lines and you draw the part on the machine, where before you had to program each individual length, bend radius, and how many bends you have. For the new system, we have our tooling pre-programmed in the machine, so the operator just picks the tooling on the screen to match what's in the machine, and then he just draws the quick layout of the part, and it calculates all the bend sequences for them. And with this system, because it's Windows based and network connected, there's future allowance for us to have integration with our SolidWorks CAD program. SolidWorks has an add-on feature where you can actually directly import 3D parts into the brake, so there will be no programming at the machine needed. Wasn't a lot there, but any questions on that?
All right, thanks, Darren. Yeah, if you have a question, please feel to pop it into the chat or the Q&A feature on Zoom. As you were going through, I was kind of scribbling questions, but then you went and answered them as you went along. So good job with that. So integration with SolidWorks, like, you think it's possible one day that the machine will know what the next job is and then can configure itself based on, hey, this work order's come in this way, electronically. Okay, now I'm ready, go. Like, there won't be any kind of manual data punched in at the brake itself.
We haven't looked into that option yet, but there is possibility for that option. The ideal situation is, because we use a barcoding system on our paper work orders on the shop, is eventually have that they just scan the work order and it automatically pulls up the information in the machine for that.
Perfect.
That's in the future down the line. Right now, we're just optimizing our programs and parts, and then next step, probably in a couple of years, is doing the SolidWorks integration, just reduce any programming. And the integration with SolidWorks also help the designers, because they can see if there's going to be any interference when they're designing parts. So eliminate the manufacturing engineer from reviewing parts, sending it back for changes because of issues with forming it or testing it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, the more, and then this leads to Jasmine's presentation in regards to, pulling the CAD system in and getting it to talk to other business systems. So this kind of a good gateway project for that. So you've been using it now since July, right? Since your plant shut down. Are you seeing the benefits that you had originally calculated when you did that 1.8 to 2 year ROI on it?
We're definitely seeing the benefit in the reduction in our scrap rate, because we do have a formed body line for fire trucks, so that requires multiple bends, and they're quite large parts. So the part I mentioned about the spring-loaded back cage, that's where we're having issues with the old system, where the operator just pressed a little too hard, the part would not align properly, and then the part would be out, and you'd be scrapping a whole sheet worth of material just on that one brake being missed. So this allowed a good reduction in scrap rate, and it eliminates layup, because a lot of those parts have the exact same bend sequence. Mm-hmm. And the new system, if they mishit a brake, it's easy to switch back. With the old system, you had to run through the whole sequence without no part in and then start from the beginning. This one, it's just one button. You can go back to the brake sequence, hit it again if you have to. So it saves a lot of time there too.
Great, great. Is there any now that you've been using it 6 months, is there any return on investment that you didn't anticipate in the beginning that you're starting to see, or is it pretty much unfolding as you guys had planned?
It's pretty close to what we planned. There hasn't been any real unexpected changes, because we could see the issues that are leading up to, which helped push for us to go with this project to upgrade the brake.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of nice when there's no major stumbles in a project like this.
It went pretty smoothly in One of the reasons why we went with the AccuPress system is because it's matches with the manufacturer of the brake. There was some aftermarket systems we looked at, but this was a direct replacement, and plus there's a service center just on the edge of the city limits. So if we ever have any issues, they're 20 minutes away to come service or help with any issues.
But so far, so good.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. I see a question has popped up here. We have SolidWorks integration currently, definitely a great investment. And that's from Callum.
Good to know that's working great for you. Yeah, it's definitely an option that we're looking into heavily right now.
Mm-hmm. So now that you've done this, what other, like as you're walking around your shop and you're looking at other machinery that you have, what's next on the list?
The next on the list is just optimizing individual work cells. It's mostly 5S tuning right now. We don't have any major equipment projects on the scope. There's always something to improve in a manufacturing shop.
Yeah. There's never shortage of things to do. There's no doubt. Good stuff. Good stuff. And just give it a second here see if there's any other questions. And if not, we will move to Jasmine and CADLink and that project.
Yeah, is that the one we just used?
Good stuff. I don't see any other questions coming through. So Jasmine, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Yeah. Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is Jasmine. I work as mechanical design engineer and PDM administrators in Full Garry fire trucks. So today I will talk about the paperless release project that we're going to have here. And a part of the project is we're using CADLink to improving the configuration work. That's the part of the big project that we have achieved here. So before I move in the big project, I would like to introduce some software that we're using every day here. So first is the SolidWorks. So SolidWorks is a 3D model software that can make the designer like me can design very complex 3D designs and make the drawings for each part assembly and installation. And we also use the PDM, the product data management. So which is keep design data under control and render and collaborate on design development. We will also store the properties of each files. The other software we use here that the configuration team uses every day is JobScope. So JobScope is a ERP system and generate the work orders for us, for shop people here. The next software is the one that I want to introduce today is the CADLink. So the CADLink is a software help to transfer the data from each level of the bill of material, part assembly, installation from SolidWorks or PDM to JobScope. So here's a picture that shows like the CADLink is like a bridge between CADLink is like a bridge between the SolidWorks PDM, that bill of materials, and the JobScope. So it will help transferring data from one side to the other side. And they also have function like after you load the BOM, you save it, it can either override the information in PDM or override the information in JobScope. So the configuration team can view and modify the design information from PDM and JobScope information in one interface of CADLink. So meanwhile, the accuracy and efficiency transfer the information in between. So here is a screenshot that example of what the CADLink looks like. So you can see here, it show you, so when you load the bill of material from PDM, it will load each level like installation, assembly, sub-assembly, parts, and also you can program and save the parts numbers, description, here, like the parts number, description, routings, is either make part or purchase part, categories, qualities, and where you save it. So materials, material descriptions, and those things you can program depends on your need. Here is like installation and assembly, sub-assembly, and each part. Yeah. Here is an example. Like after you load BOM by calling into the job scope, and this is what like a bill of materials looks like. So you can see this is an installation, and under we have assembly and have each part. This is a very big installation. Sometimes we have a like that is can easily have 20 or 30 parts. So so here is our project, the paperless release project. So the left side is I will try to explain what we have here before we use this project, and the left-hand side is the right-hand side is how we change it. So like before we start this project or before we use that padding too. So engineer like me, we design by SolidWorks and we make the drawings. And after that, we print out each drawings. And if we make the revised part, if we print a drawing for each revised part, assembly and installation, everything we print out. After I print it out, I will submit to my engineer manager, and my manager will review and sign on these paper drawings. Then after he approve it, he will pass it to configurations. And configurations will manually load all the new and revised part, bill of material of each assembly and installation into the job scope. They have to do it like word by word, letter by letter. Like you can imagine, like this big bill of material. This is a good example of the large bill of material we have here. They may easily cost the configuration people like a few hours, like 3-4 hours to type in everything, including the description, the long description, and each material for each part. Later, after they load it in the job scope, so they will create work orders for shop people. After all done, and configuration will scan the signed approved drawings and save in our local drives. So this is a procedure, this is a working procedure we have here before we move in the new project. So what's the difference then? If we start using the new paperless release project. So first step, after I design and make the drawings, I won't print out all the papers anymore, all the drawings I won't print out anymore. Instead of doing the printout, I will just simply change the state of installation in the PDM from concept to initial review. After I change the initial review, the PDM will send an email to my manager, say Jasmine has done this design, please review it. And my manager will start review it. If he approves my design, approve this drawing, and he will change in PDM again by changing the state of installation from initial review to release. And then after he changed this state, the PDM will send another email to configuration, and configuration receive this mail said, okay, this design has been approved. So they can view the bill of material, the drawing, and everything they need from PDM. So electrically, instead of now they read everything on the paper. So they don't, and because they're using CAD-Link, so they no longer need to manually type in everything. So the CAD-Link will like a small robot to help them transferring information from PDM to bill of material to job scope. And then they will make the work order to show people to work on it. And meanwhile, all the assigned approval drawing will automatically save in the local drive. Instead of we have to manually scan each page by page, all the approved drawing, once my manager change the status to release, approved, which means approved. So all the approved drawings will automatically save in the local drive. So that's the basically that's the procedure that we're gonna change after we use this paperless release project. For now, we have using the CALing almost a year and a half. So this procedure, this step is the third step. We pretty much done. I still need to work a little bit with CALing to follow up some issues that we're still having. CALing have to reprogram small part of the program, but we have using it for a while, and overall it did save lots of our time and improving the accuracy. The rest of the procedure we haven't applied, and then we haven't applied to all the engineering and configuration yet, but I will keep working on them and do some tests, and then we will start like all the engineers and configuration people using it. So this is a workflow that we design in PDM. So it will, that's how PDM and CALing will understand the new procedure, like changing the statics from concept to initial review and later to release, and they will save it. And then if in some cases, if my manager thought I need to do some improvement of my design, so he could, instead of changing the status to release, he will return this project to return this design to me, to the designer, to revise it. And after I done the revision, I can change the status again to initial review, and the manager can review it again. And the other thing is, meanwhile, we save lots of papers, because like from the beginning, if you print out every parts assembly installation, so some assembly like this, you can see like there we have so many assembly, sub-assembly. Sometimes I submit like my design can easily like a book, almost like a book, 20, 30 pages to my manager to review it. If any of this part have something wrong with it and I have to revise it, then the last 20, 30 pages is in the garbage, then I have to reprint everything again. So if we're using the paperless release method, so this way everything is be done electrically, so I don't have to print out again and again. It's really saving lots of papers too. So yeah, so one of the biggest advantage for us is saving a lot of time, reducing the amount of time for both engineers and configurations that's take for documents approval. And the second thing, we do save lots of papers, and it's good for the environment. It's saving papers, it's saving the trees is a part of engineer's duty as well. So let's take a deep look about what CALing is, because in the whole procedure, we have done this piece about using CALing to achieve transferring all the materials, all informations from PDM to job scope. So before we use CALing, we have some existing property in PDM. It is good for the CALing, like parts number, description, revision, material parts number, and the description for material, and the date that we create this design. But that's not enough, because to use CALing, we need more information, and actually CALing can transfer more information for us other than just few items like parts number or date. So to prepare using the CALing, we program the parts property in the SolidWorks and PDM. We add new variables in PDM. We set up a new template for the new parts. Like we program the router's files number to match with the file's name. We add a part selection, either purchasing part or make part, and actually configuration can select as the stock part as well. And we add a category code, we add unit of measure, we add a scrap percentage, we match the numbers and property to the file's name, or it can select to match with the user specified numbers. We add a phantoms option for configuration to select which part, to determine which part is phantom part. So this is an example that we have. We create a new template for in the PDM, in the SolidWorks PDM. So you can see we have some existing like description revision, but also we have some new like part type, category code, unit of measures, like the phantoms. Those things here also have some cutting length, outer, inner. Those we have programmed in the new template, but configuration haven't started picking them up and use them because we're trying to achieve most of basics information by using CAD-link. Then laterly we will keep working, like I will keep working with configuration team. So maybe in the future we will use all those information for the routings calculations as well. So program the parts master mapping on CAD-link will help CAD-link to understand what information they need pick from PDM and where they're gonna send those information to job scope. So it will direct CAD-link where and what information to pick from PDM, like parts number, description, quality, material, parts number, description, revision, it's either purchase part or made part, the file's name, the numbers, either the file's name or the user specified name, the category code measure, the unit of measure, the scrap percentage, and the phantom. So this is a screenshot of setting in CAD-link. So you can see here is you have that what you need is part number, sorry, description. The description 2, 3, 4 is the same description. It just when the description is super long, it was split to 2, 3, 4 and revisions. And we program it to tell CAD-link where you're going to pick this information. The CAD-link will pick this information from file data core in PDM. And the other side, like what's the name of each property. And here you can, like this is basically you can program or something like here's the CAD-link, like the different colors. Here the color in yellow means the CAD-link can recognize the information. For example, the description you have in the PDM is not same as the description you have in job scope. So the CAD-link will provide selection so the user can say like either you want to save the description from PDM to job scope, or you want to save the description from job scope to PDM. And sometimes you can see the color in green. I don't have an example here, but like the green means it's new part. So CAD-link can also recognize, oh, this part of this assembly is new. So we never have it in the job scope. Or they have color in gray. This installation is existing in job scope, but this part seems like doesn't existing in job scope. Do you want delete it or do you want input it in job scope? So the user can select that as well. Here we're done. And also to achieve that, we also need some engineers additional input to using the CAD-link. Like engineer will select either this part is purchase part or made part. We have to empty the property of the matter for the purchase part. We have to exclude the parts from bill of material for purchase parts. That's because before we use CAD-link, the purchase part actually is not a part in our PDM. In our SolidWorks is assembly. Like I buy a pump, and the pump have come with different part. So in my model, the purchase part actually is a purchase assembly, but in our system in job scope, the purchase like the pump is a part, the purchase part is a part, not assembly. So to not confusing CADing that this is not a part, so we choose to, so engineer will choose to exclude all the part from BOM. So the CADing will see there's no parts under this assembly. They will, so the CADing can understand this actually is a part, it's not assembly. And we have to remove the property of the matter in the stainless steel part template as well. So compare what we use before we use CADing and after we use CADing. Before we use CADing, so all the data has been entered manually. Like the big bill of material that I show you guys at the beginning is easily can have 20, 30 parts there. So it may cost them like 3 or 4 hours to enter in. And also because they have to manually enter each part, each letters. So it may happen they have typo, right? And the numbers, the order of the parts, the order of the part number in the bill of material is randomly. And after we use the CADing will transfer all the informations that we need from PDM to job scope in one transaction, and the order will be ascending orders. So it's easier for job scope. Sorry, it's easier for configuring people to read the whole bill of material, or if it's been revised, you can easily find which part is getting revised. And they absolutely increasing the accuracy because they won't have any typo for sure. And the time they saving from before like 4 hours, it can finish in an hour. So it's really a big improvement in accuracy and efficiency. So we'll say average, we can save 2 hours per day and 260 days per year. So which means we'll save more than 520 hours per year. And this is, I only compare before we use CADing and after we use CADing. If later we start using the paperless, we start using the paperless release, the overall time we saving will be much more than 520 hours per year. Because here to compare, I did just regarding the CADing. In the futures, I will keep following up with CADing technical team to clean up some setting issues during the operation. Because now the user, we cannot program the CADing in the like backside of CADing. So we have to every time if we find some issue, or if every time I want to add more items, so we have to connect CADing so they can program it for us. And also we're planning program more parameters to support the configuration to use CADing. For example, we can add the number of the band, add outer parameter of the parts flat patterns, add some of the parameters of inner loops and cut out. We can add the width of and the length of the part flat patterns. So those numbers will help configuration to calculate the routings. Yeah, so we have done a small part of the big project, but so far everything is so good, and it did save lots of our time, saving lots of papers. And we looking forward to move forward more to achieve the big goal. So the next phase of the paperless release project. So I'm gonna text the signature and change the stage of the submit design. And we will train if I test everything is good. So we will train other engineers to reload the drawing sheet format and show them the new ways to submit the design without printout paper drawing anymore. And we also need training configurations to receive and review the signed approved electric drawings instead of reading from the paper. So that's pretty much everything we have been done, and we're planning for the futures. Do you have any questions?
Thanks so much, Jasmine. That was very interesting. I can see a whole lot less keyboard work having to happen now that you're using CAD-Link compared to what you were doing in the past. No doubt that there's less duplication of entries with CAD-Link. Is CAD-Link, is it linked to JobScope? Is it a software program that's sold by JobScope, or is it something independent that can work between different CAD systems or different configuration systems and ERP systems?
CAD-Link is independent software. Sorry, it is software. It's an independent software. But every time when you program it or when you improving it, you have to make sure that everything you have done in CAD-Link can work well with JobScope. So like last week we have a meeting with them, and I would like to change some Phantoms part, like Phantom settings, like the setup for Phantoms part. So they will spend some time to not only program CAD-Link, but they also need to confirm that everything will work, like the new program will work well with the JobScope. And if one day JobScope get upgraded, so the other side same, that we have to make sure the CAD-Link can fit well with the new JobScopes.
Excellent, excellent. So Steve is asking how much of a dollar, time, and IT and investment was required? How much support did CAD-Link provide during the implementation? And he has a comment: we have duplication of work here, as well as mistakes that could be eliminated by letting our data management system do the work.
I'm not sure the dollars. But the time and the IT investment, I would say at the beginning you have to. Well, it also depends on what you have, like what you have, like what current system that you have. Like for in our side, we did prepare a lot. Like we changed a lot of properties in our PDM or SolidWorks template to achieve a CAD-Link can understand between SolidWorks, PDM, and JobScope, so it could transferring the information from one location to the other. Yeah.
Okay. So if you were to guess, what would be your return on investment for this project, for all the time that was spent in pulling it all together? When do you think that, how short of a period will it take to pay off all that investment?
I would think, and for now, that we already see is very obvious the advantage that even we only use CAD-Link as a part of the big project. We already see we save lots of times, and we absolutely increase the accuracy, reduce the mistakes, and of course we're saving lots of papers. So I can feel like in the future, if we use the paperless release for everything and all the engineers and configuration, we will have more savings. It will absolutely a big improvement for sure.
So it was a good purchase already, but once you get into paperless release and that's
Yeah.
it's going to be even better yet.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I mean too.
Good, good, good. Well, I don't see any other questions out there. So with that, I would like to thank Stefano, Darren, and yourself, Jasmine, for presenting today. We will be posting this on our website, vtci.ca. So if you have anybody that's interested in the subject matter today, please feel free to direct them there. I should have this posted sometime tomorrow. So yeah, with that, thank you very much to our presenters. We sure do appreciate you taking the time to share your projects with us. And yeah, we thank you for your time, those of you that logged in, and hopefully you found this interesting. So with that, stay safe, stay out of the weather. Apparently there's some really interesting stuff coming. So and have a great week.
Thanks, Ron.
For having us.
Thanks for having us.